really want to take the time to talk about confidence and how it affects the way that you fish. Today out here, early in the morning, I picked this rod up. It's a rod that we normally use, and this is an Abu Garcia reel. Decent reel, nothing wrong with it. It's a classic reel, but it's not the standard reel that I use. I normally use either a Shimano Chronarch or a Daiwa Millionaire, and those are the baits I feel comfortable with. I mean, the reels I feel comfortable with. So when I first picked this up, today I didn't have the other baits ready, so I picked this bait up and threw it, and I said, man, I really don't like the way this bait's casting. We weren't really catching that many fish, and I just didn't feel right. I was having trouble casting. I just didn't ever feel right. Now we got into an area where I made the right decisions. I found a good piece of water for the technique that we're using, and it paid off. We just caught 3 or 4 really nice fish in like a 10 or a 15-minute period when it's really tough. The day's been pretty hard, and we turned a pretty bad day into a good day. And right now, I was just saying how funny it is. Right now, I feel like with this rod and reel that earlier in the day I had no confidence in, and I wanted the other rods and reels. I feel like I could beat you with this and do anything I want. I could put the bait anywhere I want, work it through the cover, and I mean, feel 100% sure that I couldn't work the bait any better. And that goes to show you about confidence. Confidence is everything. That's a lot what Rick Clunn talks about. And I'll admit, when you first hear it, it sounds like a lot of mumbo jumbo, how he's talking about in the zone and what it's like to be in the zone. But the more and more I fish and the more time I spend on difficult bodies of water, unique bodies of water, and I fish a lot of these tournaments, it's unbelievable how important confidence is. You just fish better. Now that I know that I'm in the right area and that I'm doing the right thing and I feel in tune with the fish, all of a sudden this reel that I was having trouble casting, I can put the bait anywhere I want. It's just amazing. Confidence is so important. That's why when all else fails and the fishing is tough, you should always pick a lure, a rod, and a reel, and even to the line, if it's sensitive and you feel what's going on, that you're confident with, and you'll fish much better, and hence you'll catch more fish. It's something that you really have to take time on your own to experiment with and see what your confidence bait is, you know, and when you're confident. But once you figure it out, it's amazing. Every day I'm on the water, I learn more and more how important confidence is. Here we are, Sassafras River, just outside of Galena, Maryland. Launched right out of the Georgetown Yacht Basin. Went right into the first creek, which is called Halls Creek. Throwing a Terminator tandem spinnerbait. Something that I'll show you that I do with this spinnerbait just to catch a few extra fish. I try to throw colors that not everybody throws. Chartreuse is a very good color anywhere you fish in the Northeast, but everybody throws a standard chartreuse and white. So what I've done is taken the Fire Tiger, which has a lot of chartreuse and a lot of blue like we have on our crankbaits, but it also has a ton of orange in it. So what I've done is take my tweezers and I've cut out the ends of the orange strands to eliminate most of the orange, which in clearer water I think turns off some of the higher pressured fish. So now you have a chartreuse and a blue colored bait. And this bass hit, high tide was about an hour ago, so we're just starting to see the tide turn out a little bit. And this fish actually engulfed the spinnerbait up on the surface in a blowdown here that we have in Hall Creek. Let's measure this fish. Right now we have a 15-inch minimum size length. Let's see if this fish would be a keeper. Yes, 15 and a half. A little over 15 and a half. So that's our first keeper of the day, first thing in the morning. Let's let her go. Maybe I'll catch you in the BFL. Starting out first thing in the morning while we still have that morning bite with spinnerbaits and crankbaits. And we will even throw a buzzbait here in a little bit, just to try to put a few aggressive fish in the boat, see where these fish are holding. And then as the sun comes up and the tide changes a little, if the fish's activity level drops, we'll go ahead and throw Senkos, cut-tail worms, some Icatubes, Paca crawls, those type of baits, and work them slowly. We caught that first one.
Maybe 20 yards at the most.
Yeah, still here in Halls Creek. Hold on a second. Barely.
Yep.
Yep, that's 15. I could squeeze it out to 15. Right at 15 inches. Get a quick limit of these in the morning on our spinnerbait and on our buzzbait. You know, have a good limit of those 15-inch fish. And then we go big fishing. We target docks with big jigs or big soft plastics, looking for loner fish that are in the 4 and 5 pound class. Maybe throw a buzzbait or work a frog. That water's really warmed up. First time this year that water actually didn't feel a little chilly when you touched it. Let's see if it's 15 too. Here we are, moved up into Freeman Creek here, still on the Sass. Throwing crankbaits in wood cover. Another bass. Ooh, almost got me with those hooks, bud. Another decent bass. That's going to be close. Another one close to a keeper. That same hot bait. You can see the teeth marks all over that bait. This bait's been catching fish all over the Northeast, from the Potomac, Upper Chesapeake Bay to Lake Champlain over the grass beds to Thousand Islands, working it around the rocks. This Lucky Craft bait is the hottest shallow running crankbait there is, hands down, on the market. Square bill, it's meant to bounce off of everything, but you cannot find a shallow diving crankbait that will catch more fish than this bait. Let's see if this is a keeper. It's close. In another few weeks, it's easily a keeper. Close. About 14 3/4. Missed it by about a 1/4 inch. Couldn't squeeze it. A little too far to squeeze him and hope to make it. Good solid fish though. Fun fish to catch. Real subtle strike. That's a perfect example of why you want a high-speed reel. Even though this lower speed reel is great for keeping the bait to work slow, when they're in that heavy cover, I really had a lot of trouble pulling him out of there. Now, I babied him so he didn't get off. And luckily, we're throwing a Lucky Craft RC15 with the sharpest hooks that there are. Again, I'm telling you, when you're working shallow wood or lily pads or grass, any spot where you want to throw a crankbait, there isn't a bait that's made that will catch and produce fish for you better than this Lucky Craft. Look at that fish. It's deformed there on its back, a little broken back. Let's measure this one, even though I know what to keep. Let's just make sure. I'd say 15 and a half maybe. Yeah, 15 and a half. 15 and a quarter. Another keeper. Let him go right there with the bait that she took. See that? Come eat that the next time it comes through. Now, a lot of times what we can do on the trees, on the rivers here in the Northeast, when you catch a bass off of a blowdown like that, you can actually, if you keep the boat position way off so you don't disturb the fish and you don't go on them, they don't hear any banging, if you pull right back out off the end of the tree and make a second cast, you can catch a second, sometimes a third fish. I even caught 4 off of one tree before doing this. Sometimes they'll hit the same bait, other times I'll change to a different color of the same bait, or I might go with the 2.5, which is a little bigger, sometimes even a spinner bait, or a worm thrown back in there if they don't want to hit the same bait. But you'd be surprised, a lot of guys come through here, they would have drifted up on that tree, banged around, hit the tree, made too much noise, move on to the next tree, when really there was a whole school of fish, at least 2 or 3 of them anyway, that they could have caught. So that's one thing you want to think about. Always be conscious. A lot of guys get a fish on the rod and everything else goes out the window. All they think about is that fish. When really you want to still continue to think about your boat position. Don't mess up that spot. You know, be planning ahead for that next fish.
Okay.
You gotta stop him from jumping.
All right, let's get him in.
Right in the middle of that grass. See, trying something different. Good keeping fish. We'd be happy in a tournament now. That would help a lot. Need 2 or 3 more of those. It's got a lot of weight.
It's heavy, isn't it? It's a big fish.
I've caught much bigger fish in the river, but it's the first one we've caught today that has a good belly on it. Look at that.
Yeah.
Now, that fish has still a little red on its tail. Looks like that's spawned out, but I mean, it looks like it's, you know, post-spawn female. Came off the beds last week, and now it's in here eating shad. I'm telling you, it's got a lot of weight. same bait. Lucky Craft, Rick Clun crankbait. Chartreuse with a blue back. Mimics those shad and bluegill and perch that are in this river. Good fat fish, loaded with shad in there. This is the size fish that normally, on a fairly average day when the fishing's good, we can expect 5 that are this size, and that gets you that 14 to 15 pounds worth of fish. Even if you don't have a kicker. And you see that's the grass that he came out of. It's actually a she. Good belly.